Hello everyone, this is Team 3 from INFM 600 class. Our project is called Reading Signs. So let's define signs. One way to think of signs is as an object or the quality or event whose occurrence indicates the occurrence of something else. Another definition is a sign is an evidence of an event from the past, present, or the future. A sign could also be a gesture or action used to convey information or instructions. So, more of a physical, think like sign language. And sign could be a notice that's publicly displayed giving information or instructions in a written or symbolic form. So, in this presentation, we are not going to talk about zodiac signs. We are also not going to talk about sign language. We are going to talk instead about traffic signs, street signs, and different types of signs. So some of them are not necessarily visual, but they could be based on audio or touch. So we thought of some ways to categorize signs. First category are the aesthetic or graphic based signs. So think of traffic signs, for example. The one on the left, it's the no U-turn sign. And the second one is stay to right of median. So these are pretty intuitive and they're pretty minimalistic visually, but they convey a lot of information. And then over on the right side, we've got semantic or text-based signs. The first one is no turns, and the second one is no turn on red. So it's a different way to convey information through text. And combining these two, we've got signs that may cross aesthetic and semantic barriers through physical or auditory expression. For example, audio cues at crosswalks for individuals that are blind, and then bells and lights on railroad crossings that emphasize caution and danger. So let's talk about other ways to categorize signs and which purpose each category of sign serves. We've got signs that are used for identification. For example, door plaques, landmark signage. These are general wayfinding landmarks. And then we got directional signs, such as junction signage or colored floor lines. These are used as a step-by-step guidance to a destination. And then for informational signs, think about amenities and accommodations, facilities. They convey broad information needed for navigation. And for regulatory signs, we're thinking about rules and regulations and compliance standards. These signs reinforce rules, they reinforce safety standards and privacy expectations. Now, let's talk about the designing process. Who designs the signs and who they're designed for? What do sign designers think about the people who use them? We believe that the ultimate goal of a sign is to inform the observer. The meaning of signs are dependent on the observers. Sign designers intend for a sign's information to assist the observer with decision making and create a sense of order in a given environment through response selection and regulation. Sign designers must presuppose certain standards of knowledge, life experiences, norms, and linguistic tendencies amongst the target population. Sign development is dependent on the creator's knowledge of the target population and the extent to which the creator is willing to leverage their knowledge of the target population.
Now let's talk about effectiveness. What makes a good sign? Well, a good sign is a sign that is effective, but it's also minimal or no bias. The sign being good also resonates with a general level of knowledge and life experience of the target population. This also takes into account of the situation and context in which the sign is presented. As you currently can see on the screen, there's actually a sign talking about navigation when you're traveling on a road. And you can see it is very minimal, straight to the point. It's yellow, it's outlined in black, but it gives you that little squiggly line to show you that there are some curvatures amongst the road. This is a good sign because it is minimal, it shows general level of knowledge, and it also takes into account the situation. Now, let's talk about ineffectiveness. What makes a bad sign? Bad signs display too much, too little, or irrelevant information. They're also unintuitive or unrecognizable. They have that type of schema. Then their improper setting, situation, or context is what makes them ineffective. When you see the ineffectiveness of the current sign on the screen, it says, do not exceed, circle in red, 20 children. Now, how are you really supposed to understand the setting or the situation and the context? You really can't be that sure because this sign is not really as effective as the previous ones, which makes it ineffective. The people. What questions do real people have in their minds that the signs answer or don't answer? So as you currently see on the screen, there is a this way and a this way. And sometimes when you're thinking about navigation and traveling, you might not always know what a sign is trying to tell you or not trying to tell you. So when you're looking for signs that can answer things, they pretty much will answer basic questions, give like directions, functionality, and etc. They also can utilize making daily life move very smoothly. So if you think about in major metropolitan cities such as Atlanta, Georgia, New York, Washington, D.C., most of the signs pretty much will answer things and give you basic directions, answer basic questions, and allow you to navigate life smoothly. The unanswered, or the signs that don't answer, they can provide you with unnecessary information, causing information overload. You could be crossing over a track and it could say something about 5 miles down to the park. It could say children in the area. It could say a whole plethora of things, but that doesn't give you the pertinent information about crossing the track. So that is definitely an unanswered. So there are a lot of things that people do have as far as questions in their mind, and it's something to keep in the back of your mind when it comes to signs. There are quite a few biases in signage. You know, signs can be linguistically biased and non-reflective of the socio-linguistic environmental landscapes that they may exist in. Depending on the sign's medium or the lack of a diverse signage medium in a given area, signs can be biased against those who have certain physical impairments such as blindness, color blindness, or even deafness. As you can see on the spectrum on the screen, you have at the left the color blindness and the stop, the reliance of certain colors for declarative signs. You might not be able to see that if you're colorblind. Vision impairments. You got to really think about the necessity of tactile pavement or audio cues to let people know that something is going on. Context directly in the middle. You're supposed to have location specific signs that are not universal, and all these things play a part. I personally have an older sibling who is deaf, and I know when she is traveling amongst things, it is important with the signs to not have so much bias. So when you think about the sign on the screen in the deafness category, it says no trained horn. That can be a dependency on horns or whistles to warn the deaf community of danger. Last, ideological. When you think about this one, monuments and memorials can be used by governments to legitimize actions. All of these biases you can see on the screen are some that we see in everyday life. And some of them are a lack of diversity. Some are biased just based on the categories you see on screen. And for those reasons, it definitely shows that there are a significant amount of biases in signage. Visual examples. These are representations of schemes and potential resulting biases. When you look at the different color wheels, you can tell that the different colors currently on the screen showcase certain colors that will point out to others. Red is passionate, energetic, and confident. Orange is optimistic, creative, and fun. Yellow is enthusiastic, spontaneous, and happy. Green is reliable, balanced, and safe. Blue is honest, dependable, and organized. Black is authoritative, professional, and powerful. White is pure, clean, and sophisticated. And pink is compassionate, playful, and fun. These are all visual examples that could have potential in resulting biases, but these are things that we wanted to make you aware of.